My beloved child, listen carefully. This is not a random moment. This is not an ordinary message. This is a final call, and heaven itself is leaning close to hear your response. Before midnight strikes in the spiritual realm, God is trying to secure your name in the reward list of heaven. Yes, your name. And I must warn you with love and urgency, do not walk away from this, because walking away now changes timelines. I am Archangel Michael, the warrior who stands at the gates, the keeper of divine assignments, the one who records battles fought in silence. I have been sent because something is happening right now around your destiny. There is movement in the unseen. Pages are being turned. Names are being reviewed. And yours has been spoken. Hear this slowly. Heaven does not rush without reason. When God moves with urgency, it is because time-sensitive favor is on the line. There is a reward that has been held back, not denied, not canceled, but paused, waiting for your response. And the window is narrow. Beloved, many people will hear messages today, but this one followed you. You could have scrolled past. You could have clicked away. But something stopped you. That was not curiosity. That was not coincidence. That was a summons. Let me reveal what most will never be told. There is a record book in the heavens, not only of sins forgiven, but of faith demonstrated, obedience chosen, and endurance proven. Some rewards are released slowly. Others are released at appointed times. And then there are emergency releases, moments when God says, if they respond now, I will advance what was scheduled for later. This is one of those moments. But listen to me carefully, because this is where the warning comes in. Walking away from this message does not mean you lose God. Walking away does not mean judgment falls. Walking away does not mean punishment. Walking away means delay. It means another cycle, another season of almost, another year of being strong when you were supposed to be rewarded. Heaven is saying, we don't want them to wait anymore. My beloved child, you have been faithful in ways no one applauded. You showed up when you were tired. You forgave when it cost you pride. You stayed when leaving would have been easier. And heaven saw it all. Not one tear was wasted. Not one prayer was ignored. But here is the truth few are brave enough to say. Some rewards are not automatic. They are activated. And activation requires awareness. That is why this message sounds intense. That is why the words feel heavy. That is why your spirit feels stirred instead of comforted. This is not comfort time. This is confirmation time. Before midnight, yes, there is a spiritual midnight. God is checking something simple yet powerful. Is your heart still turned toward Him? Or have you quietly accepted delay as normal? Because the reward list is not just about blessings. It is about alignment. There is something attached to your name that also affects others. When your reward is released, someone else's breakthrough accelerates. When your obedience is honored, a chain reaction begins. And the enemy knows this. That is why distraction suddenly increased. That is why doubt whispered louder. That is why you almost didn't listen. I was sent to say this clearly. Do not walk away thinking you will come back later. Later is not guaranteed in moments like this. Not because God is cruel, but because windows close when ignored. Look at your life. Look at the pressure. Look at how much you have carried. That was not meant to end in silence. Heaven does not ask you to endure without intention. Your name is being reviewed not because you are perfect, but because you are willing. And willingness is currency in the kingdom. Right now, angels are standing by assignments connected to your obedience. Some are holding provision. Some are holding clarity. Some are holding restoration. But none of them can move without your yes in this moment. No, you don't have to understand everything. No, you don't need to feel strong. No, you don't need to be fearless. You just need to stay present. Because what comes next will explain why this warning was necessary. And trust me, what is about to be revealed is the reason heaven said, "Tell them now." Not later. Now, chosen one, take a breath and lean in. What I am about to reveal now is the reason this message carries weight, urgency, and precision. The delay you have been experiencing was not random, and it was not because you lacked faith. It was a holding pattern, and heaven placed it there intentionally. I, Archangel Michael, was assigned to guard what you prayed for so it would not arrive before you were ready to carry it without losing yourself. You see, there are seasons when God answers quickly, and there are seasons when He answers carefully. Your season required care. What is coming into your life is not small, and it is not temporary. It has permanence written on it. That is why the process felt heavy. That is why you were tested in silence. That is why you were stretched where no one could help you. Heaven was strengthening your spiritual spine. Many times you wondered, why does it feel like I am so close, yet nothing is moving? That question reached the courts of heaven, and the answer was this: movement was happening, just not where your eyes were looking. God was securing alignment, not just outcomes. Because outcomes without alignment create collapse later. Hear this clearly now. There was a version of you that wanted the blessing fast, and there is a version of you now that can keep the blessing. God always waits for the second version. This is where the urgency increases. The holding pattern is ending. The protection phase is expiring. That is why this message found you now and not months ago. If this had reached you earlier, it would have created impatience. If it reached you later, it would have created regret. But now, it creates activation. The enemy attempted to exhaust you right before release. That is his pattern. He does not attack what is leaving. He attacks what is about to arrive. The sudden tiredness, the strange emotional waves, the urge to withdraw, those were not weaknesses. They were indicators that something was shifting in your favor. And now comes your responsibility in this divine exchange. God does not force participation. He invites response. Heaven has already moved its part into position. The only thing left is your agreement to stay engaged, to stay open, and to stay connected. Disengagement is the only thing that can delay this further. That is why I am speaking with clarity now. This is not the time to observe quietly. This is not the time to be invisible. When heaven speaks publicly, it is because public alignment matters. There is power in agreement. There is authority in acknowledgement. If this message is stirring your spirit, do not keep it private. Let your action reflect your faith. This is a moment to support what is feeding your soul. Press the like button as a sign of alignment. Share this message with someone who has been carrying silent weight. Comment to anchor your agreement in the physical realm. And if this channel has been a source of confirmation for you, subscribe so you remain connected to what God is releasing next. This is not about numbers. This is about participation. And now listen carefully, because this next truth is delicate. There is a reward attached to obedience that happens under pressure. Not loud obedience. Not celebrated obedience. Quiet obedience. The kind no one claps for. That is the obedience heaven honors the most. And that is the obedience you demonstrated when you stayed when leaving would have been easier. Your name, is being secured in the reward list not because you were flawless, but because you were faithful while misunderstood. That kind of faith creates inheritance, not just blessing. Do not minimize what you survived. Do not rush past what you endured. Those moments became credentials in the Spirit. They qualified you for access you did not even know existed. What comes next will require discernment. Not everyone will understand the shift in you. Some will feel uncomfortable because your season is changing. Let them. You were not called to be explained, you were called to be positioned. The midnight mentioned earlier is not about a clock. It is about a threshold. A line between preparation and manifestation. And you are standing at it now. Hold on, this is where it gets even more intense. My precious one, what I am about to uncover now is not meant to frighten you, but to awaken you. There are moments in the Spirit when silence itself becomes a test. Heaven watches not just what you do, but what you choose when no one is pressuring you, when no one is watching, and when walking away would be easy. This is one of those moments. I, Archangel Michael, have stood watch over many destinies, and I tell you this with certainty. Moments like this decide whether a door opens now or later. There is a difference between delay and forfeiture. Delay is merciful. Forfeiture is avoidable. God does not take blessings away impulsively, but He does honor human choice deeply. When the heart disengages repeatedly, heaven respects the distance. That is why this message carries such gravity. It is not a threat. It is a mirror. Some people feel a stirring like this and say, I will come back when life is calmer. Others say, I will listen later, when I feel more spiritual. But later is often where assignments go quiet. Not dead, just quiet. And quiet seasons can last longer than necessary. You were not brought this far to circle the same mountain again. There is a reason resistance rose when you leaned into this message. Resistance always reveals proximity. The closer you are to a threshold, the louder the internal arguments become. Suddenly the mind wants logic. Suddenly the heart wants proof. Suddenly distraction feels urgent. This is not coincidence. This is exposure. Heaven is asking one question right now. Will you remain receptive even when you do not yet see the full picture? Because here is the truth most never hear. Rewards in heaven are not only released because of past faithfulness. Some are released because of present responsiveness. God honors those who can discern His voice in real time. Your name is not being reviewed because of what you might do someday. It is being reviewed because of how you are responding now. There are angels assigned to record decisions made in moments of tension. Not dramatic decisions. Subtle ones. Staying open. Staying humble. Staying willing. These are the decisions that tip scales in the unseen. I must speak plainly now. Walking away from this message does not erase God's love for you, but it does signal to heaven that now may not be your moment. And heaven does not argue with reluctance. It waits. Patiently. Sometimes painfully. But you are not reluctant. You are cautious. And God understands caution. That is why confirmation is being layered upon confirmation. That is why this message feels personal. That is why your spirit keeps leaning back in even when your mind hesitates. This is what I want you to understand deeply. Heaven is not rushing you because it is desperate. Heaven is urging you because it is precise. There is a divine alignment forming that requires your attention now, not after another season of waiting. What is being secured for you is not just a blessing you receive. It is a position you step into. Positions require readiness, and readiness is revealed by response. Do not underestimate the power of staying present in moments like this. Presence is agreement. Listening is alignment. Engagement is obedience in seed form. Many have missed their window not because they disbelieved, but because they disengaged emotionally. They stayed physically alive but spiritually passive. You were chosen because passivity is not your nature. That is why this warning is wrapped in love. Heaven is not angry with you. Heaven is invested in you. I see the weight you carried without explanation. I see the prayers you whispered instead of shouted. I see the nights you chose faith even when answers felt delayed. Those moments spoke louder than you realize. And now, as this phase reaches its peak, heaven is inviting you into partnership. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Do not shrink back. Do not overthink. Do not minimize what your spirit already knows. This is not manipulation. This is invitation. And with every invitation comes a response that activates reward. Before I step back and allow what is next to unfold, I must seal this moment with a spiritual marker. Type "I received divine alignment" in the comments if this message is confirming what your spirit already felt. Blessing code 909 has just been released over your obedience and awareness. Now hear me, beloved, as I speak not just as a messenger but as one who stands witness to eternal impact. If this word has reached you at the exact moment you needed it, understand that it did not arrive by chance. When you choose to support this mission, you are not supporting a channel. You are sowing into souls that are one message away from hope. The Lord says, as you release seed, I release oil, and what was dry will flow again. This is me inviting you personally to become a carrier of light in a dark hour. Your action right now is prophetic, urgent, and seen in heaven. Those who give in this moment will not lack, for God Himself will guard their harvest. Use Super Thanks, step into membership, or sow through PayPal using the link in the description. Do it now, and watch how heaven responds to your obedience. Beloved soul, now that your spirit has been awakened, it is time to understand what truly shifts after moments like this. Many people think the message itself is the climax, but in the spirit, the message is only the door. What happens next is where destinies quietly turn. I, Archangel Michael, stand not only as a messenger but as a guardian of transitions, and I must tell you this plainly. After awareness comes movement. There is an invisible rearranging that begins once a person says yes in their heart. It does not always show up immediately in circumstances, but it always shows up first in resistance breaking. You may notice that what once confused you now feels clear, or what once drained you no longer has power over you. This is not imagination. This is authority returning to its rightful place. For a long time, you have been functioning below what heaven authorized for you, not because you were weak, but because you were waiting for permission you already had. God does not shout permission. He whispers it through alignment. This moment you are in now is one of those whispers becoming undeniable. Understand this. Heaven never releases reward without simultaneously shifting responsibility. That is why the process felt heavy before. God was preparing you not just to receive but to steward. Blessings mishandled become burdens, but blessings stewarded with wisdom become legacy. What is beginning now will require discernment. You will notice invitations that look good but feel wrong. You will notice opportunities that feel quiet but carry peace. This is the sign of maturation. You are no longer led by urgency. You are led by alignment. There are people connected to your next season who could not meet you earlier because you were still healing. And there are people from your past who will not follow you forward because their assignment was seasonal. This does not mean separation must be dramatic. Sometimes distance is holy. Do not be alarmed if certain conversations fade, Do not chase explanations. Heaven is doing what protection looks like at this level. You have asked God many times why the journey felt lonely. The answer is simple and sacred. Crowds cannot fit through narrow gates. What you are stepping into requires clarity, not noise. I must also prepare you for this truth. When reward draws near, self-doubt often makes one final appearance. It asks subtle questions. Am I ready? What if I fail? What if this is not real? These thoughts are not signs of weakness. They are echoes of old survival patterns trying to stay relevant. Let them pass without entertaining them. Heaven is not second-guessing you. There is a strength being restored to your inner voice. Decisions will feel less exhausting. Boundaries will feel less cruel. Saying no will feel less guilty. This is alignment solidifying. And now listen carefully, because this next part is crucial. The reward list you were told about is not a list of random gifts. It is a record of assignments paired with provision. God does not reward to impress. He rewards to empower. What you receive will equip you to do what you could not do before. That is why this moment required your attention. Heaven needed to know that you would not idolize the reward but honor the giver. Your humility hath been noted. Your patience has been recorded. Your endurance has been weighed and found faithful. But there is one more thing heaven watches closely: consistency after confirmation. Many people receive confirmation and then relax their focus. But you are being invited into steadiness, not intensity. Daily alignment matters more than emotional peaks. Stay grounded. Stay prayerful. Stay honest with God. Not palliate. Honest. You do not need to announce what is happening. Let fruit speak when it is time. Let results testify without explanation. The coming days may feel strangely calm or strangely quiet. Do not misinterpret this as stagnation. Calm often precedes movement. Silence often precedes instruction. Be alert, not anxious. You are stepping into a phase where obedience will feel simpler, but impact will feel larger. Small actions will carry unusual weight. A word spoken at the right time will open doors you could not force open before. This is the benefit of alignment. As I stand watch over this transition, I say this with certainty. You are not late, you are not behind, and you are not forgotten. You are precisely where heaven intended you to be when this message reached you. What comes next will require trust, but not blind trust. It will require informed faith. Faith rooted in recognition, not desperation. Remain present. Remain teachable. Remain connected. Because what unfolds after this is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about walking forward without carrying what no longer belongs to you. And that, beloved, is how reward becomes rest. Beloved child, as you move deeper into this unfolding, you must understand something essential about the timing you are in now. After alignment comes exposure, not exposure to shame, but exposure to truth. Truth about what has been holding you back, and truth about what has been quietly preparing you. I, Archangel Michael, speak now to steady you, because clarity can feel unsettling before it feels freeing. There are patterns in your life that are losing their grip. You may sense it already. Things that once triggered fear now feel distant. Situations that once demanded your emotional energy no longer command the same response. This is not because the issues disappeared, but because your authority has increased. Growth often feels like detachment before it feels like strength. You are entering a season where God will not repeat lessons. What you have already learned will not circle back. Heaven does not waste wisdom. That is why discernment matters now more than ever. The smallest decisions will shape the next chapter more than the dramatic ones ever did. Pay attention to what drains you quickly. Pay attention to what brings peace without effort. These are signals, not moods. Your spirit has matured enough to communicate without noise. There is also something else happening beneath the surface. Old fears are being challenged, not by confrontation, but by irrelevance. When fear realizes it no longer controls your decisions, it grows quiet. This quiet is not emptiness. It is space being created for something new. Do not rush to fill that space. Many people sabotage new seasons by filling silence with old habits. Resist that urge. Silence is where instruction arrives. Stillness is where strategy is revealed. You may notice God inviting you to slow down even as things begin to move forward. This is intentional. Speed without clarity leads to exhaustion. Pace with clarity leads to endurance. Heaven is teaching you how to move wisely, not just boldly. There will be moments soon where you are tempted to explain yourself, to justify your choices, to prove that the change in you is valid. You do not need to do this. Explanation drains energy that obedience requires. Let misunderstanding exist without correction. Truth does not require defense. This is also a season of refinement in relationships. Not everyone who supported you before will understand you now. And not everyone who understands you now knew you before. This shift is not betrayal. It is transition. God assigns people to seasons, not to identities. Bless those who exit quietly. Release those who resist your growth. And receive those who meet you with peace instead of pressure. Your capacity is expanding, but expansion must be protected. Overcommitment is the enemy of alignment. Just because you can do more does not mean you should do everything. Discernment will be your shield. I want to address something that has been lingering in your thoughts. The question of whether you are truly ready for what you ask for. Readiness is not confidence without fear. Readiness is obedience despite uncertainty. And by that measure, you are ready. You have learned to listen before reacting. You have learned to pray before deciding. You have learned to wait without quitting. These are signs of readiness that heaven honors deeply. There is a quiet strength forming in you now. It does not announce itself. It does not seek approval. It simply stands. This is the kind of strength that cannot be shaken easily. It is rooted, not reactive. Expect moments where you look back and realize how far you have come without noticing it along the way. Growth often reveals itself in hindsight. Celebrate those moments privately. Gratitude seals progress. As this phase continues, be mindful of comparison. Comparison pulls you out of alignment faster than doubt ever could. Your path is custom. Your timing is intentional. Your reward is specific. Do not measure your life against fragments of someone else's journey. What you see is never the full picture. Heaven tailored your process because heaven knows your purpose. You may also experience a renewed sense of responsibility, not pressure, but awareness. Awareness that what you carry matters. Awareness that your choices ripple beyond yourself. This is not meant to burden you. It is meant to ground you. Responsibility handled with humility becomes influence. Influence handled with humility becomes impact. I remain near as this unfolds, not to rush you, but to guard you. Transitions are sacred, and sacred things are protected. Trust what is settling in your spirit. Trust the calm that follows clarity. Trust the wisdom that feels quieter than excitement but stronger than fear. You are not waiting anymore. You are walking. And as you walk, heaven walks with you, step by step, ensuring that what is released into your hands does not overwhelm your heart. What is forming now will last. Beloved one, now we step into a phase that many misunderstand. After growth, after refinement, after clarity, there comes a moment of decision disguised as normal life. Nothing dramatic on the outside, yet everything significant on the inside. I, Archangel Michael, am speaking now to sharpen your awareness, because what happens next depends on how you move when things feel ordinary again. This is where many lose momentum. They assume the intensity has passed, so the importance has faded. But in truth, this is where consistency is tested. Heaven watches closely how you live when there is no strong emotion pushing you forward. This is where maturity proves itself. You are entering a stretch where discipline matters more than inspiration. Not rigid discipline, but gentle, faithful consistency. Showing up even when it feels quiet. Choosing integrity when no one is checking. Continue in alignment when there is no immediate reward. This is the ground where long-term blessing takes root. There will be moments where the excitement of revelation settles and routine returns. Do not mistake this for stagnation. Routine aligned with purpose becomes stability. Stability is what allows blessing to remain. God is teaching you how to live from conviction, not adrenaline. Emotional highs come and go. Conviction carries you when feelings fluctuate. And you have been trained for this, even if you did not realize it at the time. Be aware also that subtle distractions may appear. Not obvious temptations, but small compromises. Slight delays. Minor justifications. These are not meant to destroy you, only to test whether you notice. Discernment is sharpened in these moments. Stay attentive to your inner promptings. That quiet sense of yes or no. A gentle nudge toward prayer or pause. These are not random thoughts. They are guidance refined through obedience. You may feel an increasing desire to protect your time, your energy, your peace. Honor that desire. Protection is not selfish at this level. It is stewardship. You cannot pour out what you do not preserve. This is also a season where your voice carries more weight than before. What you say has influence even when you are unaware of it. Choose words carefully. Speak life, not habit. Silence is sometimes more powerful than explanation. And now I must speak to you as both a messenger and a witness. If this message hath been guiding you, grounding you, strengthening you, do not keep that alignment passive. This is a moment to engage actively. Like this message as a sign of agreement. Share it with someone who needs clarity instead of noise. Leave a comment to mark your presence in this moment. And if you feel connected to this flow of confirmation, subscribe to remain aligned with what is being released. This is how spiritual awareness stays active, not dormant. Now listen closely, because there is a shift in how heaven responds to you. Earlier seasons required you to pursue God with effort. This season will require you to recognize God in subtlety. He is no longer shouting because you have learned to listen. He is no longer pushing because you have learned to walk. Expect guidance to come through calm understanding rather than urgent prompting. Expect correction to feel gentle rather than sharp. This is a sign of trust. But do not grow casual with sacred things. Familiarity must never replace reverence. Keep your heart soft. Gratitude keeps alignment clean. There may be moments when others misunderstand your calm. They may think you have become distant or uninterested. Let them. Peace often looks like indifference to those addicted to chaos. You are not pulling away from life. You are anchoring into purpose. Heaven is pleased with your steadiness. Angels respond quickly to those who remain faithful without needing constant reassurance. You are learning how to walk with God, not chase Him. One more thing you must remember as you continue. Do not rush results. Acceleration comes naturally when foundations are secure. Putting prematurely creates cracks. Trust the pace that peace confirms. And before I close this phase, let me remind you of this truth. Staying engaged matters. What you are hearing now will connect to what comes next. Patterns are forming. Revelations are aligning. Hold on, because what is about to be revealed next will explain why consistency in this moment determines the scale of what follows. This is not the time to drift. This is the time to walk steadily forward, knowing heaven is responding to every faithful step. Beloved one, as consistency settles into your life, something profound begins to happen beneath the surface. This is the stage where identity aligns fully with assignment. You are no longer becoming, you are being. I, Archangel Michael, speak now to anchor you in this truth, because identity clarity is what protects you from confusion when new doors open. When identity is unclear, opportunity becomes dangerous. But when identity is rooted, opportunity becomes a tool. That is why heaven waited. That is why the process was long. God was not delaying reward. He was establishing who you are before what you receive. You may notice a shift in how you see yourself. Less striving to prove. Less need to impress. More confidence without arrogance. This is not ego. This is grounding. You are standing in who you are without needing permission. This is also where discernment deepens. You will begin to recognize motives quickly, not with suspicion, but with clarity. What once confused you now makes sense. What once tempted you now feels empty. This is not loss. This is growth. Be careful not to agree what no longer fits. Thank you for what He taught you and let it go. Carrying outdated identities into new seasons creates unnecessary weight. You are also entering a phase where your presence itself ministers to others, not through speeches or explanations, but through peace. People will feel calm around you. Some will feel convicted. Some will feel inspired. This is not something you force. It is something you carry. There may be an increase in questions from others. They will ask how you changed, what you did, what you learned. Answer with humility. Share truth without superiority. Remember, you were once where they are. God is positioning you as a bridge between confusion and clarity, between fear and faith, between waiting and walking. Bridges do not draw attention to themselves, they help others cross. This is also a time to be mindful of pride disguised as confidence. Confidence says, I know who I am. Pride says, I am better than others. You have been trained to recognize the difference. Stay teachable. There will be moments where old insecurities attempt to resurface, especially when new responsibilities appear. Do not panic. Old fears often test new strength. Respond with wisdom, not emotion. You are not required to be perfect. You are required to be honest and aligned. Heaven responds to sincerity faster than performance. As your identity stabilizes, expect clarity and direction. Decisions that once took weeks will now take moments. Not because you are impulsive, but because your values are clear. Values reduce confusion. This clarity will also bring simplicity. You will desire less, but what you desire will matter more. Simplicity is a sign of maturity, not lack. You may find joy in things that once seemed insignificant. Quiet mornings, meaningful conversations, purposeful word. These are indicators that your inner world is aligning with heaven's pace. I want to prepare you for one important truth. When identity solidifies, Opposition sometimes changes form. It becomes subtle. It may come through flattery instead of criticism, through distraction instead of discouragement. Stay alert. Not every open door is yours to walk through. Not every invitation is divine. Peace will be your guide. If it cost be you got too much. Heaven is pleased with how you have handled this process. You did not rush. You did not harden. You did not quit. These choices shaped your character more than you realize. As this stage completes, you may feel a sense of quiet readiness. Not anticipation, but preparedness. This is a sign that the foundation is set. The next phase will involve movement. Not chaotic movement, but directed action. Purposeful stance. Timed decisions. You will not need to force momentum. Momentum will meet you. Remain grounded in gratitude. Gratitude keeps identity anchored. When you remember where you came from, you steward where you are going. Do not isolate yourself in this season. Seek wise counsel. Stay connected to those who encourage alignment, not those who feed ego or fear. I remain near, watching over the integrity of what is forming. Identity is sacred. It must be protected. Trust the steadiness you feel. Trust the clarity that is growing. Trust the peace that guards your heart. You are not becoming someone new. You are uncovering who you were always meant to be. And as this truth settles, prepare yourself. Because what comes next will require action aligned with identity, not reaction shaped by fear. The path ahead is opening. Beloved child, now we enter a moment that carries weight beyond what you can see. When identity is settled, heaven begins to release influence. Not influence as the world defines it, but spiritual reach, the ability for your obedience to affect outcomes beyond your immediate circle. I, Archangel Michael, speak now with precision, because this phase determines how far what God placed in you will travel. Influence in the kingdom does not arrive with noise. It arrives quietly, like oil seeping into dry ground. You may not notice it immediately, but others will. Doors will begin to open without you forcing them. Conversations will shift in your favor without you defending yourself. Favor will appear not because you demanded it, but because alignment attracts it. This is where humility becomes protection. Influence without humility creates exposure. Influence with humility creates covering. You have been trained in the hidden place so that public moments do not corrupt your heart. Remember this always. The same God who lifts can also preserve. You will notice that people respond to you differently now. Some will seek your counsel. Some will mirror your behavior. Some will test your boundaries. This is not accidental. Influence reveals what people carry inside. Stay discerning. Not everyone who is drawn to you is assigned to walk with you. There is also an increase in spiritual sensitivity at this stage. You may sense things before they happen. You may feel prompted to pray without knowing why. You may feel unease in places that once felt neutral. This is not anxiety. This is awareness. Do not ignore these promptings. Heaven communicates through them. They are part of your assignment expanding. At the same time, guard against spiritual pride. Sensitivity is not superiority. It is responsibility. The more you perceive, the more carefully you must walk. Speak only what you are instructed to speak. Silence is often obedience at this level. You are now in a season where your obedience carries ripple effects. A single yes can open doors for others. A single delay can slow a chain reaction. This is why heaven emphasizes faithfulness in small things. Small obediences create large outcomes. There may be moments when you feel the weight of responsibility increase. Do not let it overwhelm you. God does not burden without strengthening. Lean into prayer, not pressure. Ask for wisdom, not reassurance. Wisdom stabilizes what reassurance cannot. This phase will also require you to release control. Influence grows best when surrendered to God's guidance. Trying to manage outcomes will exhaust you. Trusting divine orchestration will sustain you. Some of what you hoped would happen quickly will now unfold gradually. This is intentional. Gradual unfolding allows depth to form. Depth ensures longevity. Heaven is not interested in short-lived success. Heaven is building legacy. You may feel moments of solitude again, but this time it will feel different. Not lonely, but focused. Solitude at this level is not isolation. It is consecration. God often separates before He multiplies. Be mindful of how you speak about yourself in this season. Speak with humility, but not self-doubt. Honor what God has entrusted to you. Now hear this clearly. Influence attracts opposition, but not always in obvious ways. Sometimes opposition comes through distraction, overextension, or misplaced compassion. Not every need is yours to meet. Not every battle is yours to fight. Discernment will tell you where to invest your energy. Heaven is pleased with how you have arrived here. Many would have grown impatient. Many would have demanded proof. You chose trust. That choice matters. As this phase reaches its spiritual seal, there is something that must be declared openly. Type "I step into divine influence" in the comments if your spirit is receiving this confirmation. Blessing code 1444 is now activated over your obedience, your reach, and your stewardship. And now, beloved, as this message flows from revelation into responsibility, I must speak to your heart about something sacred. When you support this work, you are not funding content. You are fueling encounters. The Lord says, as you sow into the sound of my voice, I will cause rivers to flow where dryness once ruled. This is my direct invitation to you to partner with what heaven is doing through this message. Your giving in this moment is not ordinary. It is prophetic and timely. Those who release seed now will see God secure their households, their peace, and their purpose. You super thanks. Step into membership or sow through PayPal using the link in the description. Do it now, and watch how heaven honors your obedience with increase that cannot be explained by logic. Remain grounded. Remain obedient. Remain humble. Because what comes next will require courage. Not the courage to fight, but the courage to move forward without looking back. Heaven is with you. Beloved one, now we move into a sacred turning point where courage is refined into movement. Up to this moment, much of what has happened took place within you. Your perspective shifted. Your identity stabilized. Your influence awakened. But now heaven is inviting you to step outward with intention. I, Archangel Michael, speak now to steady your steps, because movement without fear is not the absence of fear. It is obedience that walks despite it. This is the stage where hesitation tries to disguise itself as wisdom. You may hear thoughts telling you to wait just a little longer, to be a little more certain, to gather a little more confirmation. Discern carefully. Wisdom pauses to listen, but fear pauses to avoid. You will know the difference by the feeling it produces. Wisdom brings peace. Fear brings restlessness. What you are being asked to do next will not feel overwhelming, but it will feel unfamiliar. That is how you know it is growth. Familiarity comforts the flesh. Unfamiliarity stretches faith. God does not stretch you to harm you. He stretches you to carry more. You are not being sent without covering. You are not moving alone. Heaven does not release instruction without provision. What you need will appear as you move, not before. This is how trust is activated. Here is also something important you must release now, the need to be fully understood. As you move forward, some people will misinterpret your intentions. Others will project their fears onto your decisions. This is not a sign you are wrong. It is a sign you are no longer living by consensus. Obedience rarely receives applause at the beginning. Applause comes later, once results are visible. You not seek affirmation from those who are not assigned to your journey. Your sensitivity will remain, but it will be tempered by authority. You will feel compassion without being consumed. You will see need without feeling responsible for everything. This balance is essential. Without it, even good intentions can lead to burnout. You are learning how to move with boundaries that protect purpose. Boundaries do not limit love, they focus it. Love without boundaries scatters. Love with boundaries multiplies. As you take these next steps, be mindful of your inner dialogue. Speak to yourself with truth, not pressure. Encourage yourself the way heaven encourages you, with clarity, patience, and confidence. Self-condemnation has no place in this season. There may be moments when progress feels slower than expected. Do not interpret this as failure. Some movements are strategic, not fast. God values precision more than speed. A well-placed step accomplishes more than rushed movement. You may also experience moments of unexpected joy, small confirmations, timely conversations, quiet reassurances. These are signs that you are walking in step with heaven. Pay attention to them. Gratitude sharpens awareness. Now is also the time to revisit your priorities. Not everything deserves the same level of attention. Focus is the currency of this season. What you invest your focus in will grow. What you neglect will fade. Choose intentionally. Heaven is not asking you to abandon rest. Rest is still sacred. But rest now becomes purposeful, not escapist. Rest to renew, not to avoid. Balance will keep you strong. Be careful with comparison as you move forward. Others may seem ahead or behind, but their timeline is not your instruction. Your obedience is measured by alignment, not by speed or visibility. You are stepping into a phase where your decisions shape atmosphere. What you tolerate will linger. What you confront with wisdom will shift. Authority is exercised through consistency, not confrontation. Remember this: you are not responsible for outcomes, only for obedience. Release the pressure to control results. God handles results. You handle response. There will be days when you feel strong, and days when you feel unsure. Do not judge your calling by your emotions. Emotions fluctuate. Calling remains. I want to remind you of something essential before this phase continues. You were prepared for this. Nothing about this moment surprised heaven. Every step was considered. Every delay had purpose. Every refinement had intention. Trust what has been built within you. Trust the discernment that has matured. Trust the peace that confirms direction. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into alignment expressed through action. As you move, remain teachable. Pride closes ears. Humility keeps guidance flowing. Ask when unsure. Pause when needed. Move when prompted. This is not the season to retreat into comfort. It is the season to advance with clarity. And as you take these steps, know this with certainty: heaven is watching, heaven is assisting, and heaven is pleased. What comes next will bring visible shifts, subtle at first, then undeniable. Beloved child, Now we arrive at a phase that requires alertness, because momentum has begun. Momentum is powerful, but if it is not stewarded, it can drift. I, Archangel Michael, speak now to anchor you, because what you are stepping into is not fragile, but it is directional. Momentum must be guided, not merely enjoyed. You may notice that things are starting to connect faster now. Conversations lead to opportunities. Decisions lead to clarity. Small actions create noticeable outcomes. This is not coincidence. This is alignment in motion. When alignment moves, heaven multiplies effort. However, this is also where many lose balance. They mistake movement for mastery. They assume because things are working, vigilance is no longer needed. This is not the time to relax spiritually. This is the time to remain aware. Momentum does not mean everything will be easy. It means resistance changes form. Instead of blockage, it becomes distraction. Instead of delay, it becomes overload. Too many options. Too many voices. Too many directions. Discernment is what keeps momentum clean. You must choose depth over breadth. Doing fewer things with excellence will carry you further than doing many things with exhaustion. Heaven values fruit that remains, not activity that impresses. There may be invitations now that appeal to your growth, your influence, or your potential. Not all of them are assignments. Some are tests of focus. Just because something is good does not mean it is yours. Peace is still the gatekeeper. This is also the phase where self-care becomes obedience, not indulgence. Guard your rest. Guard your mind. Guard your spirit. You cannot lead, serve, or build from depletion. Strength preserved is strength multiplied. You may feel an increased sense of responsibility. Not pressure, but awareness that what you do matters more now. This is true. But responsibility does not mean perfection. It means faithfulness. God is not asking you to perform flawlessly. He is asking you to stay aligned consistently. Your prayer life may shift in this season. Less asking, more listening. Less urgency, more clarity. This is a sign of maturity. Conversations with God deepen as trust solidifies. Be mindful of how you handle success, even small success. Gratitude keeps success from becoming pride. Pride disconnects from guidance. Gratitude keeps heaven close. You may also notice that some people drift away as you move forward. This is not loss. It is recalibration. Seasons change, and so do assignments. Do not chase what God is releasing. Bless it and keep walking. Now, I must speak to you directly as this message continues to unfold. If this word has been guiding you, strengthening you, and keeping you focused, do not stay silent in your alignment. Like this message as a sign of agreement. Share it with someone who needs direction in a season of movement. Comment to declare that you are staying alert and aligned. And if this channel continues to confirm what God is doing in your life, subscribe so you remain connected to what is being released. This is not about routine. This is about staying positioned. Hold on, because what comes next will bring clarity to why this momentum had to be protected so carefully. Now listen closely. Momentum requires humility to sustain it. The moment you believe you no longer need guidance is the moment drift begins. Stay teachable. Stay prayerful. Stay aware. You are not being rushed. You are being guided. The pace may increase, but peace should not decrease. If peace begins to fade, pause and realign. Heaven leads with peace, not pressure. There will be moments when you are tempted to compare your progress with others. Resist this. Comparison distorts perception. Your assignment is unique. Your timing is intentional. Focus preserves clarity. This is also a season to refine communication. Speak with intention. Listen with discernment. Not every thought needs to be voiced. Wisdom knows when silence protects more than speech. As momentum builds, remember why you started. Not for recognition, not for validation, but for obedience. Returning to purpose keeps momentum from becoming ambition. You may encounter challenges that feel unnecessary. Do not assume resistance means error. Often, resistance is confirmation that what you are doing matters. Stay steady. Heaven is not asking you to carry everything alone. Seek support where needed. God often answers prayers through people. Pride isolates. Wisdom connects. You are learning how to move with authority without force, influence without intimidation, confidence without arrogance. This balance is rare, and it has been cultivated in you intentionally. As this phase stabilizes, expect your actions to speak louder than your words. Let consistency build trust. Let integrity build credibility. Let patience build endurance. You are not behind. You are not rushing. You are walking in step. Stay present. Stay focused. Stay aligned. Because the next phase will test not your faith, but your endurance. And endurance is what separates momentary movement from lasting impact. Keep watching. What is coming next will help you hold what is now moving in your favor. Beloved one, now endurance becomes the sacred theme of this hour. Momentum had been established, direction clarified, and movement initiated. But what sustains destiny is not how powerfully something begins. It is how faithfully it continues. I, Archangel Michael, speak now to fortify your spirit, because endurance is not passive waiting. It is active trust over time. Endurance is formed when obedience continues after novelty fades, when excitement settles into responsibility, when progress is steady but no longer dramatic. This is the place where many abandon what they once prayed for, not out of rebellion, but out of quiet fatigue. That is why heaven addresses this stage with such care. You may notice that challenges now come in waves rather than blocks. Not enough to stop you, but enough to test your consistency. These waves are not meant to overwhelm you. They are meant to strengthen your footing. Resistance at this stage is proof that what you are building has weight. Do not interpret tired moments as failure. Tiredness does not mean you are off track. It means you are human. The key is learning how to rest without retreating. Rest restores strength. Retreat abandons assignment. Know the difference. You are not required to maintain intensity. You are required to maintain faithfulness. Intensity burns fast. Faithfulness burns long. Heaven honors the flame that keeps burning quietly. There will be days when results feel slow, when prayers feel repetitive, when obedience feels ordinary. These are endurance days. Do not despise them. Endurance days are where roots grow deep. Deep roots hold heavy fruit. Be careful not to romanticize the beginning or rush the ending. Every phase has value. You are not meant to escape this season. You are meant to mature in it. Your discernment will continue to be tested, but now in subtler ways. Not between right and wrong, but between good and best. Choosing best requires patience. Choosing good is easier, but often less effective. Ask for wisdom when options feel equally appealing. You may feel an increased temptation to revisit old habits for comfort. Old routines, old thought patterns, old distractions. These are familiar, but they are no longer aligned. Familiarity does not equal safety. Alignment does. This is also a season where faith is expressed through structure, healthy routines, consistent prayer, intentional boundaries. Structure is not restrictive at this level. It is supportive. It carries you when motivation fluctuates. Heaven is not asking you to prove anything now. The proving already happened in hidden seasons. This is about perseverance, about continuing to walk even when no one is watching closely. There may be fewer affirmations from others, less feedback, less visible encouragement. This is intentional. God is teaching you to draw strength from alignment, not applause. External validation is unreliable. Internal conviction is stable. You are learning how to hear God in quieter moments, not through dramatic signs, but through steady assurance. This is the language of trust. Do not be alarmed if you feel a deeper seriousness about your life and choices. This is not heaviness. This is awareness. Awareness that your decisions matter. Awareness that your time is valuable. Awareness that purpose requires intention. At this stage, impatience can become a subtle enemy. It whispers that you should be further along, that progress should look different, that results should be more visible. Silence those whispers with truth. Growth does not always announce itself. Stay focused on what has been entrusted to you now, not what you hope will happen later. Faithfulness in the present secures favor for the future. You may also need to forgive yourself again at this stage, for past delays, for missed opportunities, for times you did not know better. Forgiveness clears emotional weight that endurance cannot carry. Heaven has not forgotten anything you surrendered. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was ignored. Everything was accounted for. As endurance deepens, confidence becomes quieter but stronger. You will notice you react less, worry less, explain less. This is not indifference. This is stability. You are no longer driven by urgency. You are guided by conviction. Conviction lasts longer than urgency ever could. I must tell you this clearly. You are closer than you think. Endurance often intensifies right before fulfillment. Not because fulfillment is far, but because the final stretch requires focus. Do not rush. Do not quit. Do not disengage. Stay faithful in the small. Stay honest in the quiet. Stay obedient in the ordinary. Heaven is watching not with scrutiny, but with approval. Endurance pleases God deeply because it reflects trust without demand. As this phase nears its completion, prepare your heart. What comes next will not test your endurance. It will reward it. Remain steady. Remain humble. Remain aligned. The final ceiling is near, and it will make sense of everything you have walked through. Stay with me. The completion is approaching. My beloved child, we have arrived at the ceiling moment. This is not an ending. It is a completion. Everything that has unfolded, every word that stirred your spirit, every pause that tested your patience, has been leading here. I, Archangel Michael, speak now with authority and peace, because heaven does not close chapters casually. When God completes a cycle, He does it with intention, confirmation, and reward. What you have walked through was not merely preparation, and with qualification. You were not only being strengthened, you were being entrusted. Heaven does not release reward without first ensuring that the heart receiving it will not be crushed by its weight. And you, beloved, have been found steady. There is a deep shift happening now, one that may not be loud, but it is permanent. The striving that once lived in you is dissolving. The constant questioning is quieting. Not because you have all the answers, but because you now trust the one who does. This is spiritual maturity. This is rest without resignation. This is faith without fear. The season ahead will not be free of challenges, but it will be anchored in confidence. You will no longer panic when things take time. You will no longer interpret silence as abandonment. You have learned how God speaks to you, and that understanding cannot be taken away. There are blessings already in motion that you have not yet seen. Conversations that will happen at the right moment. Opportunities that will open without force. Provision that will arrive without strain. This is not wishful thinking. This is the result of alignment. You are stepping into a phase where your life begins to speak for itself. Less explanation, less defense, less effort to be understood. Fruit will speak. Peace will testify. Consistency will confirm. Remember this always. The reward heaven gives is not only what you receive, but who you become while receiving it. Character is the greatest inheritance, and your character has been refined with care. Do not look back with regret. Look back with gratitude. Every delay protected you. Every waiting season shaped you. Every quiet obedience positioned you. Nothing was lost. As you move forward, stay grounded in humility. Stay responsive to guidance. Stay generous in spirit. These are the anchors that will keep you steady in abundance as much as they did in waiting. You are not entering something fragile. You are entering something established. Heaven has gone before you. Angels have been assigned. Grace has been measured. Peace hath been promised. And now, before I release you to walk fully into what has been secured, heaven requires one final acknowledgement, not for God's sake, but for yours. Mark this moment. Seal it in faith. Type "My name is sealed in heaven" in the comments if you receive this completion in your spirit. Blessing code 2024 is now activated over your life, your obedience, and your reward. And now, beloved, hear this as a sacred charge. What you have received through this message is not meant to stop with you. The Lord says, as you have been fed, now become a feeder. As light reached you, now help it reach others. This is my direct invitation to you, heart to heart. When you support this mission, you are sowing into souls that are standing where you once stood, confused, tired, but still hoping. This seed is not ordinary. It is an act of obedience that opens heaven's storehouse. I speak blessing over every giver now. May God secure your household, multiply your peace, and establish your future. Release your seed through super thanks. Step into membership, or give through PayPal using the link in the description. Do it now, not later. Obedience in this moment will echo in eternity. Go forward in peace. Your name has been secured. Heaven has spoken.